Joining me now is the Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Secretary Wolf, welcome to Meet the Press, and a happy Father's Day, sir.
Great, thank you.
I want to just start big picture here. Here we are in June. There's been over 8 million confirmed cases of the virus around the globe, and the United States accounts for just over 25% of all confirmed cases, leading the globe, unfortunately, in that statistic. How did we find ourselves in that precarious situation?
Well, I think what we saw early on in January and February is a virus that came to the U.S. We saw China not being very clear, not being upfront about what they were seeing early on. We took a number of dramatic steps, the president did, in limiting the spread or the seeding of that virus here in the U.S. And what we've seen since then is a White House coronavirus task force working day and night to make sure that we have the resources, the testing, the PPE, as well as the guidance to state and local, to governors, to make sure that we can open up this economy in a safe and reasonable way. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a number of states throughout the country in different phases, from phase 1 to phase 3, trying to get this economy, trying to get the country back up and running, and we're doing a great job at that.
ICE, which is under your, obviously under DHS, has an estimated 24,000 people right now detained. How are you handling the virus among those detained? And are you deporting people who test positive, or are you waiting until they test negative before you deport them? Right.
So as you indicated, ICE holds a number of individuals waiting for that deportation. So we've taken a number of steps. We've had CDC look at those facilities. We are adhering to CDC guidelines. In almost all of our facilities, we have reduced the intake down to about 70% so that we can social distance in many places. We have voluntarily released about 900 individuals that are in vulnerable populations or have underlying health conditions. And then we are court ordered to release a number of other folks. And so we are taking a number of measures to make sure that those facilities are as safe as possible. What we're not going to do is we're not going to release criminals into American communities. So we're going to make sure that we do that in a safe and reasonable way. And then on the repatriation side is we are testing most individuals that we are repatriating back to foreign countries and making sure that they are not symptomatic as we do that, and we'll continue to do that, and we're working closely with the Northern Triangle and others as we do that.
So you're not intentionally sending anybody back that tests positive?
Of course not. Now, what we know is this virus is difficult. So you can test one day, you can be asymptomatic on one day, 2 days later you can be symptomatic. The viral loads could be at the point where a test picks those up. So we're doing everything within our power to make sure that those repatriations are safe, they're secure, and we're communicating very robustly with that foreign government, letting them know everything that we're doing as we send their nationals back to them.
I want to ask quickly on DACA and the deferred action on those folks brought in to this country as children by their parents. The president described the decision as saying, hey, he actually won. It just means they have to fix the paperwork. Let me ask the question this way. For somebody that is participating in the DACA program, how concerned should they be that they might be asked to leave the country in the next 2 years?
Well, Chuck, what we know is the program is clearly unlawful, and I would point you back to the Supreme Court decision. At no point in that decision did they say that the program was lawful. They simply didn't like the rationale and the procedures that we used, and I find that a little troubling. What we know is the Obama administration created this program out of thin air. They haven't really been held to task on why they didn't put this out for public comment and notice. It's such a large decision and a program. Really, the American people needed to have some comment into that. What we've seen from this administration is we take a very logical approach to winding this down over a 6-month period, been very clear about that. And so we find ourselves where we're at today. The president's been very clear. We need to find a solution for this population, and we'll continue to look at that. We'll continue to look at the opinion that the court produced this week, making sure that we adhere to that. But we are going to end an unlawful program. As the Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, I don't have the luxury to ignore the law. The program's unlawful. We need to solve it. The president's begging Congress, has been for the last 2.5 years, to solve this problem. We're willing to sit down at the table and negotiate with them.
So are you going to solve this administratively and follow sort of what the Supreme Court seemed to lay out about how you need to give more time and all of this? Or does that mean the president has ruled out just ending this by executive order, which is another way he could have done it? He just chose not to.
No, I think we'll continue to encourage Congress to come to the table and find a solution for this population. The President's been very clear about that over 3.5 years. But at the same time, he's also directed the Department of Homeland Security to look at that opinion, look at the rationale, and look what the court has asked us to do. And that's what we're doing today. I'm not going to get ahead in front of the President. He's going to make that decision at the right time, but the Department will be ready to make that call.